Okay, we'll open up the questions for Courtney Vandersloot with Williams. Start with Carly Bell.
You two have the most veteran experience on this team, so you're entering year 15, you're entering year 11. Having that veteran experience just seems to be something that rookies and even players who have been in the league 3, 4, 5 years have really embraced and enjoyed having. What are things that both of you want to do with your veteran experience in helping lead this team, not just the rookies, but the other players that have been on here as well?
I think for me, just, the ups and downs of the seasons can be a lot, and especially now we have a lot more eyes on us, more games. It's a long season, but also short in a way, and just making sure that we're never getting too high and too low. But mostly we just keep our path, keep our eyes on the prize, kind of just making sure that we're coming in and we're doing the same things. We're not letting the emotions of wins or losses kind of get in the way of what we're trying to do here, and that's just to make sure that every single day we're doing the right things and we're competing to win games.
Hi guys, Naomi Gray, Chicago Sports Network. Courtney, this question's for you. Being in your second stint with the Chicago Sky, you spent so much time in the city of Chicago, and this summer you guys will be playing at the United Center, the first WNBA team to do that. Can you just talk about what that means for you, having spent so much time in the city of Chicago with this franchise and having the opportunity to be playing in that arena?
Yeah, I think for any basketball fan, the United Center is legendary, right? It's a really special environment, and for us to be able to go in there and play in front of 20,000 fans, I think it speaks volumes of where the WNBA is, but where also the rivalry between the Chicago and the Fever is, and people want to see it, and I think it's especially for me and where we started playing in front of, I don't know, a couple thousand maybe on a good night, and now being to where we are, it's just incredible.
Hi, Steve Greenberg, Sun-Times. Courtney, first of all, congrats on getting any sleep, and then on a completely unrelated note, I wanted to ask you, what did you know about Angel Reese coming in, and what are your early impressions of her as a teammate, as a pro, and as a star in the league?
To be honest, I didn't really know a lot about her. Obviously I knew what what you see online, I guess, or watching her play in college and seeing her impact in that way. And obviously it took me one day, just the first day of practice, to just see how much of a competitor she really is. She wants to win. She wants to compete at a really high level. She wants to learn. She's a great teammate. Obviously she comes with a lot of attention, and that's incredible for her and her brand. That's also incredible for us as a team. And I just am looking forward to kind of competing with her, because I think we're very similar in that ways, in our competitiveness and our toughness. It's kind of what carries our game, so I'm excited to communicate with her.
David, second row on your right.
Hi, Courtney. Right over here. You've been a part of 2 championship rosters. I was just wondering if there was any habits or traits that you're trying to integrate into this roster.
I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time understanding.
I can repeat it. You've
Can
been
you
a
talk
part
without the mic? Without the mic. Yeah, I think the biggest one is we need everybody to win. It's really hard to win in any league, but in the WNBA especially, and to do that you have to sacrifice. It's going to look different every single night. We need everybody to be at their best. So however that looks for each player individually on a night-to-night basis, people got to be willing to do it and put egos aside and know whatever it takes to be for the Chicago Sky to win that night. That's our mentality, and I think we have to have high expectations for ourselves, and knowing that we're going to have to go in and outwork people, out-tough people, and that has to be kind of our mantra, and knowing that it's going to take all of us.
We'll go to Nancy, third row on your left.
Nancy Armour, USA Today Sports. This is for both of you. Salute, you mentioned about playing in the UC kind of speaks volumes to where the W is now. And I'm just wondering for both of you, how have you seen the league grow and what are your expectations for it going forward?
For the league, you're saying? Yeah, I mean, I think being a part of this growth is really special. Obviously, this is a big year for us negotiating the new CBA, and we want the standards to continue to be elevated. You know, we don't want this to be a temporary thing. And so, you know, off the court, we're trying to elevate as much as possible. But on the court, we've seen the product continue to grow. We've seen the eyes on us coming from players that already have a huge following coming out of college and then entering, and those fans following us. And that's really important. I think even the fact that we played, you know, the preseason game at LSU, just finding creative ways to keep fans engaged. So just looking forward to the continued growth of the league, really.
We'll go to Alyssa, second row on your left.
Hey guys, I wanted to ask a culture question. I know you are building something new, but Elizabeth, you were here last year with a number of others, and so I'm wondering like what positive elements from last year's culture you are carrying forward. And then Courtney, I'm also curious if any elements of like the 22 culture have been passed on. Like I know it's been a long time and it's a new roster, but sometimes things can kind of like carry forward. So just what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are some members of the staff that, like outside of coaching staff, that are still here that are a really important part of who the Chicago Sky are and what we're trying to do and build. But ultimately, there is still a lot of new. And we're trying to create a culture here, you know, starting with free agency and getting players like Sloot back here, and then drafting who we did, players that are competitors and high character people. And so we want that to translate on the court. And I think so far, you know, it's really early, but it has. And we're just going to continue to build off of each other and compete at a high level.
Can you remind me of the question?
Yeah, and do you feel like any elements from the culture from like 21, 22, even though it's completely new players, I'm curious if any of that is like carried on through other people?
I think the whole idea between like we need everybody, kind of that I addressed earlier, and that roster, that team. The reason we were able to put it all together is because everybody was at their best. You know, everybody had an important role and they played it to their best. And I think that's what really great teams do. Really great championship teams do is everybody kind of flourishes in their role, and it starts by accepting it and knowing it, and you know, just every single day showing up and doing that. And I think that's one thing that I can see the similarities between is just being able to like make sure everybody's at their best.
We'll go to Chris, front row on your left, and then Jason.
Hey, Will. Last year when you started the season, obviously Camilla was hurt. Then obviously you got hurt during the season too. Both of you coming into the season healthy and Camilla having a year under her belt. How important is that for this post rotation that you guys got going, where you can play so many different ways?
Yeah, it's really important. I mean, I think Camilla had a good stint overseas in China, and that helped her to be more aggressive and take on more of the load offensively. But, you know, I'm going to come in and be a pro and be as efficient as possible. And I think with both of us, we're going to play with a lot of confidence. And I think moving forward, you always want to have post players that can play with confidence, and playing with someone like Sloot that can get you the ball in positions to score is helpful for that. And defensively, obviously, Mill has a lot of length and a lot more speed than I think people give her credit for. So just adding that to the rotation, I think, will be helpful for us.
We'll go to Jason, third row on your left, and then we'll close out with Elias.
Courtney, to your left, question for you. I mean, what has changed for you in the past month or so since becoming a parent? And what do you think it'll mean to you to have your child in the arena? I mean, not going to really be watching you play, but will that mean something to you?
Yeah, I think I talked about this earlier today, and it's like you get this whole new purpose. You know, I've had a really long career, and I've been, you know, really driven, you know, individually, but now I have this whole new purpose to play for. You know, to be able to play in front of your daughter is a really special feeling, and I think I said that I'll remember it. She probably won't, or she definitely won't, but it's still a really special thing for both me and Allie. And being home in the Chicago Sky uniform again, in the arena where, you know, her and her other mom won a championship. So it's just like, you can't write that script. I like your hat, by the way. Go Ems. Sorry.
Sorry. We'll close out with Elias, fourth row on your right.
Okay. For Elizabeth, when you see Coach Marsh's new style of play, more up-tempo, spacing out, throughout preseason and training camp, how have you seen that kind of bring out the strengths in your game and highlight some of your strengths?
Yeah, I mean, I think Tyler does a good job of putting people in good positions. But in general, anytime that you're able to play with space and pace, that brings a lot of success. So for me, as someone who plays in a lot of pick and rolls, knowing, you know, where I'm going to get the ball, knowing where other people are going to be, I think that allows me to get some shots that I want. So yeah, I think it's a great style of play for all of us.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.